Here with head coach Blaine McCorkle as the Demons finally getting back to Turpin Stadium this week. I know this is a long time coming, literally a month since we played it at home. We'll get to that conversation momentarily. But Coach, tell me how important this past week was for the team, for the physically, mentally, just kind of an opportunity to kind of hit the reset button.
Yeah, it was crucial for every aspect of our program this past week, and the bye week really came at a really important time for us. Coming off our 3 straight games on the road. As you mentioned, finally back home this week. I think Pew told me this morning it's been 37 days since we had a home game. So we were beat up, we were tired, we needed to rest, recover, and sweat all at the same time. It was kind of one of our goals for the week, and I think we did that. We healed some guys up. We got some bumps and bruises out of us. Got some guys back that haven't played. Still got a few guys that are still awful beat up, and still some guys that are kind of TBD for this week. But we did make some progress getting some guys back. Our minds needed a rest. Psychologically it was big. You take the 2 trips to a P4, then you have a hard-fought game against Prairie View over in Houston last week. So we needed to let our minds settle down a little bit and just kind of regroup and regather ourselves and kind of get up from our mojo back, if you will. So I think we got done what we needed to get done, and we'll be happy to start conference play this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, speaking of that game against Prairie View, it's obviously a tough loss, a frustrating loss because of, like you said, we didn't have the consistent complementary football that we're always looking for. But there's always an opportunity to learn something from every game. So with an extended period, what do you think some of those things are that we learned the most about the team, about the play, the progress, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, you're exactly right. The thing that popped up in the Prairie View game was a lack of complementary football. Defense would make a play, get a turnover, and then we turn it right back over. Or, maybe you have a penalty at the wrong time, which we only had 3. I think we're actually leading the conference in fewest penalties right now. But things just didn't seem to come at the right time in that game. And a young team is going to make mistakes. A young team that's tired is going to make double mistakes. And that's kind of what we were. And that's not an excuse. That's just the truth of kind of what happened in Prairie View. So like we've talked a lot, you lose or you learn. So what are the lessons we're going to learn from that? Because I can see us being in a very similar type game this week against East Texas A&M. I think this can be another 4-quarter game if we handle our business. And hopefully we've learned those lessons and complement each other a little bit in all 3 phases a little bit better this week to get us over the hump and find a win.
A big part of the game is going to be the play of, as every game is, the quarterback play for really for both sides. But I want to focus in on Abram because he really had a really maybe not a seminal performance last time, with the 3 touchdowns and all that, but his ability to continue to get better, seeming like every week, I know is going to be huge this week, next week, and the rest of his career.
Yeah, you look at the stat line and you kind of watch him play last week. You thought, man, this guy had a pretty good game, but he'll tell you there was a lot of things that he left on the table. There's a lot of things that he missed, and he comes so far every week because he is really, really tough. He's got a lot of grit, and he's really smart. I kind of joked before, I don't think he's ever made a B in his life. So he has the ability to self-correct, process information, and I think his rate of growth will be really, really fast compared to a lot of quarterbacks as young as him, because he is so smart and he is so heady, and it is so important to him. He wants to do well, So I think last week probably gave him some confidence in some areas, but there was enough there that he left on the table to keep him driven and pushing forward. And I think he's only going to get better as we go.
To have that kind of sort of intangible thing of that, yes, I did well, but there's maybe I missed a pass here, the open receiver. To have that in a quarterback has got to be just exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's crucial. And, we've talked before about, how young we are as a football team. And I kept his class, that redshirt freshman class, after the other day. And I do that. I meet with all the different classes from time to time. And I was talking to him about, Abram, for example, has now started 8 games or played in 8 games, started 7, and he's only halfway through his freshman year, because of the ability to play as a true freshman a year ago and save that year. So he's actually stacking up some pretty good experience, and he's not even to game 6 of his freshman year, so that's a good thing. And as we kind of went around the room, and he's not the only one, speaking offensively specifically, I think 8 of the 11 major contributors playing on our offense right now will still be playing on our offense in 2028. And that's wild to think about if, guys stay and grow and develop. And we're going to try to out-recruit every one of them. It's their job not to let us. But these guys are going to be playing football together for a long, long time. And that's very hard in the moment, but encouraging for the future.
Yeah. So as we move to this week against East Texas, a team that Abram made his first career start against last year and threw for 300 yards and a touchdown. So hopefully a little bit of confidence there for him as well, and the offense as a whole. But tough game for them last week as well. They made a pretty nice fourth quarter comeback to make it interesting. But what have you seen from East Texas, and what do they bring to the table?
Well, first of all, they did have a tough loss last week, but North Carolina Central is a really, really good football team. I mean, that's a team that I think the week before put up 600-something yards against North Carolina A&T, and offensively they're really, really good. I mean, I think they're receiving votes, but they're a top 25 team, and for East Texas to take them down to the wire and make it an 8-point game, if they maybe got one more drive, got an onside kick or whatever, they could have made a game of that late. So it kind of shows their resilience, their talent level. They're really talented. They have ability to make an explosive play at any time. With they play 2 quarterbacks. Be interesting to see how that one kind of pans out this week. But either one on the field has the ability to make plays with a big shot or with their legs. So we really got to be on our P's and Q's and have our eyes where we need to be defensively this week. But they're a talented group, and they came over here last year 0-5 and ran us out of the stadium. They're coming over here this year 0-4. We've had very similar schedules. We've got one win. They don't. But they like I said, North Carolina Central is really good. So I think it'll be a good matchup. It'll be a great opportunity to see how much we've grown in a year, and we'll be excited to be back home too. That's big.
Yeah. What are the thoughts on that? I mentioned some of the guys there. It kind of feels like it's a new home opener because it's been so long. I mean, obviously we still love and enjoy the win on that Thursday night, but we didn't play at home in the entire month of September. So it's like it kind of feels like we're back to that home opener vibe, and it's homecoming and all the pageantry that goes along with that.
Yeah, it does. And there'll be a lot of juice here Saturday night. I mean, Turpin Stadium's a great place to play. It's a great atmosphere. The lights will be on. It's homecoming. As we look out the window right now, the band's practicing on the field, so they're getting ready to be back in our stadium as well. So expecting a good crowd and a good game, and it should be a beautiful night for football. I think it's going to be 79, 80 degrees at kickoff, and should be exciting. And I think that really our guys are excited about that. It's been a long time since we've been home, and they like being here in Turpin for sure.
Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you.